Every single year, millions of car alternators get tossed in the trash, just thrown away like they're worthless. But here's what nobody tells you. That dead alternator sitting in your garage right now, it still has a second life. And once you see what it can actually do, you're never going to look at it the same way again. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your car broke down and the mechanic told you the alternator was done? Maybe it happened to you last summer. Maybe it happened to a friend. And what did you do with that old part? Most people just toss it. They figure it's broken, it's useless, and it belongs in the bin. But what if that one decision, that one moment of throwing it away, was actually one of the most expensive mistakes you never even realized you were making? Here's the thing about alternators that most people never stop to think about. An alternator is not just a car part, it is one of the most brilliantly engineered pieces of machinery ever put into a vehicle. It takes mechanical energy, the spinning of your engine, and converts it into electrical energy that powers everything in your car. Your lights, your radio, your air conditioning, your phone charger, all of it runs because of that one spinning piece of metal. And when it stops working in your car, that does not mean it stops working altogether. It just means it stopped working for that one specific job. Think about that for a second. You have a device that was built to generate electricity, a device that was engineered to last under extreme heat, constant vibration, and years of daily use. A device that contains copper windings, powerful magnets, precision bearings, and a rectifier that converts raw electrical output into something usable. And you are about to throw that into a landfill. Does that really make sense? If you are new here, welcome. This channel is all about finding value in the things most people overlook, the ideas that are sitting right in front of us, hiding in plain sight. If that sounds like something you want more of, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. There is a lot more coming that you do not want to miss. Now, back to that alternator. Let's talk about what is actually inside it, because once you understand the components, you start to see the possibilities. On the outside, it looks like a simple metal housing, but crack it open and you will find a rotor. That is the spinning part, wrapped in copper wire. Around it sits the stator, which is another set of copper windings that stays fixed in place. As the rotor spins inside the stator, it creates a changing magnetic field, and that changing magnetic field is what produces electricity. That is the basic principle of electromagnetic induction, and it is the same principle behind every power plant on the planet, from massive hydroelectric dams to wind turbines standing tall on open fields. They all work on this exact same idea. And here you are, holding a miniature version of that technology in your hands, about to throw it in the trash. Now here is where it gets really interesting. A lot of people in the comments of videos like this push back hard. They say things like, an alternator only puts out 12 to 14 volts, so what is the point? And that is actually a fair question. In a car, yes, the alternator is regulated to output around 14 volts DC to charge your 12-volt battery. But that regulation is coming from the voltage regulator, a small component that is either built into the alternator or attached externally. Remove that limitation, spin the alternator faster, and the raw output changes completely. This is not magic, this is basic physics. The faster you spin it, the more voltage it produces. The more windings you have, the more current it can deliver. Car alternators have been modified and repurposed by engineers, hobbyists, and off-grid builders for decades. This is not a new idea, it is just one that most people have never heard about, because nobody talks about it in simple terms. And then there is another comment you always see. Someone always says, just return it to the parts store and collect the core charge. And honestly, that is not bad advice. If your alternator has a core charge attached to it, you can absolutely return it and get some money back. Remanufacturing facilities will rebuild it, test it, and send it back out into the world as a replacement part. That is a legitimate option. But here is the truth. Not every alternator has a core charge. Not every parts store will take every model. And even if yours does qualify, the core charge you get back is usually somewhere between $15 and $40. For a device that, with the right knowledge and the right setup, could be powering tools, lighting, or even parts of a small workshop. So before you make that trip to the parts store or before you toss it in the bin, just stay with me. Because what comes next is going to completely change the way you think about that old alternator and about what is actually possible when you stop seeing broken things as worthless. So let's pick up right where we left off. You now know that an alternator is not just a dead car part. It is a miniature electricity generating machine built to survive years of punishment. And the question now is, what can you actually do with it once it leaves your car? Because that is where things start to get genuinely interesting. Let's start with the most common repurpose that people have been doing quietly for years. Wind turbines, small-scale, homemade wind turbines. If you live in a rural area on a farm or anywhere with consistent wind, a car alternator can be converted into the generator core of a working wind turbine. People have been doing this for decades in off-grid communities across the United States, Canada, Australia, and parts of Europe. They mount the alternator on a simple tower, attach hand-carved or fabricated blades to the rotor shaft, and let the wind do the work. The alternator spins, generates electricity, and that electricity gets stored in a battery bank. From there, an inverter converts it into usable household power. Is it going to power an entire modern home by itself? No, but it can run lights, charge devices, power a small refrigerator, or keep a workshop running, and it does all of that with a core component that most people threw in the trash. Now here is something that came up a lot in discussions around videos like this one, and it is worth addressing head on. People ask about the voltage. They question whether an alternator can really produce enough voltage to run standard household tools and appliances. And this is where understanding the difference between the stock configuration and a modified setup becomes really important. In its stock form, bolted to your car engine and connected to the original voltage regulator, yes, the alternator is capped at around 14 volts DC. That is by design. Your car battery needs that regulated voltage to charge safely without burning out. But when you remove the alternator from that system, remove or bypass the regulator, and spin it at higher RPMs using an external motor or a natural energy source like wind or water, the output voltage climbs significantly. The exact output depends on the specific alternator model, the winding configuration, and the speed at which it is spinning. Some modified setups have produced well over 100 volts AC from a standard car alternator. Others produce lower voltages but higher current. The point is, the stock output figures people quote are not the ceiling. They are just the factory setting. And then there is the magnet modification. This is something that genuinely surprised a lot of people when they first heard about it. Inside most car alternators, the magnetic field in the rotor is created electromagnetically, meaning it needs a small amount of electrical input to generate the field that then allows the alternator to produce output. This is called field excitation, and it is why alternators need a small 12-volt source to start generating power. But here is the workaround that hobbyists and engineers have discovered. You can remove the original rotor and replace the field coils with permanent magnets, the kind used in speaker systems or salvaged from other electronics. Strong neodymium magnets work particularly well. When you do this correctly, the alternator no longer needs external excitation to start generating power. It becomes a permanent magnet generator. It starts producing electricity the moment it begins to spin. No battery input required, no external power source needed to get it going, just motion and output. Now getting the magnet centered perfectly is critical. This is something that experienced builders will tell you right away. If the magnets are even slightly off center, you create uneven magnetic pull on the rotor, which causes vibration, uneven wear on the bearings, and eventually premature failure of the whole setup. It requires patience, precision, and the right adhesive to hold everything in place during reassembly. High-temperature silicone is commonly used. Some builders use epoxy. The key is making sure everything is balanced before the unit goes back together and starts spinning at speed. Here's another angle that most people completely overlook: hydropower. If you have a stream, a creek, or any consistent flow of water on your property, a car alternator can be converted into a micro hydro generator. Water is directed through a pipe or channel onto a simple turbine or paddle wheel, which spins the alternator shaft. Water is far more consistent than wind. It flows day and night in all weather conditions without stopping. A well-built micro-hydro setup using nothing more than a salvaged alternator and some basic fabrication skills has powered remote cabins and off-grid homesteads for years. The energy density of moving water is extraordinary compared to wind at the same speed, which means even a modest stream can produce a meaningful and reliable amount of power. And let us not forget the simplest repurpose of all, using it as a benchtop generator powered by a small gasoline or electric motor. Yes, someone in the comments will always point out that running a gasoline motor to power an alternator is less efficient than just buying a commercial generator, and mathematically they are right. You will always lose some energy in the conversion process. That is the law of thermodynamics, and there is no getting around it. But that argument misses the point entirely for a lot of people. If you already have an old alternator, and you already have a small motor sitting in your garage, the cost of building your own backup power source is almost zero. You are not buying efficiency. You are building capability from what you already own. That is a completely different calculation. And that calculation, the one where you look at what you already have and ask what it could become, is exactly the mindset that separates the people who find value everywhere from the people who keep throwing money away without even realizing it. So here we are. You started this video thinking an old car alternator was just a piece of junk, something to return for a $40 core charge or toss in a bin on the way out of the garage. But now you know something different. You know what is actually inside that housing. You know the physics behind how it works. You know that the same basic principle powering massive hydroelectric dams is sitting right there in that small metal casing. And you know that with the right knowledge, the right approach, and a willingness to think differently, that alternator can become something genuinely useful. But let us go even deeper, because there is one more layer to this story that most people never get to, and it is the layer that actually matters the most. We live in a world that is almost completely wired to make us consumers. Every system around us is designed to get us to buy new things, throw away old things, and repeat that cycle forever. The car breaks down, buy a new part, the tool wears out, buy a replacement, the appliance stops working, buy the latest model, and most of the time we do exactly that without stopping to ask a single question. We do it because it feels like the path of least resistance. We do it because nobody ever taught us to look at a broken object and ask what else it could be. We were never trained to see potential in the things that the system has already written off. And that is exactly what makes the alternator story so important. It is not really about alternators, it is about a way of thinking. It is about developing the habit of pausing before you throw something away and asking, is there another use here? Is there value I am not seeing? Is there something I could build, something I could power, something I could create with this object that the world has already decided is done? That question, that single pause before the bin, is worth more than any tool you could buy, because tools wear out. Knowledge compounds. The person who understands how energy works, how components can be repurposed, how basic physics can be applied to everyday objects, that person is never truly stuck. That person always has options. And in a world that is becoming increasingly expensive, increasingly uncertain, and increasingly dependent on systems we do not control, having options is one of the most valuable things you can possess. Now let us talk practically for a moment, because some of you watching this are already thinking about that alternator in your garage, or the one your neighbor pulled off their truck last spring, or the one sitting on a shelf in your local salvage yard for $2, and you are wondering, where do I actually start? Start with research specific to your alternator model. Not all alternators are built the same. Some have internal regulators that are easier to bypass. Some have rotor designs that are more suitable for permanent magnet conversion. Some are simply better built and will handle the stress of a new application more reliably than others. A quick search of your alternator's model number will usually tell you what other builders have done with that specific unit. Online communities around off-grid living, DIY wind and hydropower, and automotive repurposing are full of people who have already done the hard work of figuring out what works and what does not. Use that knowledge. Stand on the shoulders of the people who already went through the trial and error. Next, think about your specific situation. Do you have wind? Do you have water? Do you have a small motor you are not using? Do you need backup power for a workshop, a shed, a cabin, or just a few lights and a phone charger during an outage? The application shapes the build. There is no single right answer here. There is only the answer that fits your needs, your resources, and your skill level. And the beautiful thing is, you can start simple. You do not need to build a complete off-grid power system on day one. You can start by simply understanding how to spin the alternator, measure its output, and see what it produces. That alone is a genuinely educational experience that will teach you more about electricity in one afternoon than most people learn in a lifetime of paying electric bills. And here's something worth saying clearly for the people who pushed back in the comments of videos like this one, the ones who said the voltage claims were fake, the ones who said the horsepower numbers were impossible, the ones who said this whole concept was useless because you could just buy a generator. Those are all fair points to raise. Healthy skepticism is not a bad thing. In fact, it is a good thing. You should question what you see on the internet. You should ask for explanations. You should push back when numbers do not add up. That critical thinking is valuable. But skepticism becomes a trap when it stops you from exploring entirely. When the response to every unconventional idea is immediate dismissal, you close the door on every possibility that does not already match what you know. And the most interesting discoveries, the ones that actually change how you live and work, almost always come from walking through a door that most people decided was not worth opening. The people who first built homemade wind turbines from car alternators were laughed at. The people who designed micro-hydro systems for remote communities were told it was not worth the effort. The people who started asking what else a broken machine could do were told to just buy a new one. And some of them listened. They threw the alternator away, paid for the new part, and moved on. But some of them did not listen. Some of them stayed in the garage a little longer. They took the thing apart, looked at what was inside, asked a different question, and built something that actually worked. Those are the people this video is for. So here's what I want you to do right now. If you have an old alternator, do not throw it away yet. Give yourself 1 week to research your specific model, watch a few build videos from the off-grid and DIY communities, and decide whether there is a project there that makes sense for your situation. You might find that returning it for the core charge is still the right call, and that is completely fine, But at least make that decision with full information. At least make it knowing what you were actually holding in your hands. And if this video changed the way you think about broken things, if it made you pause before the bin even once, then it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone with a garage full of parts they have written off. Someone who always reaches for the new thing without stopping to ask about the old one. Because sometimes the most valuable thing you own is the thing you were about to throw away. And the only difference between junk and a resource is knowing what to do with it.